Hey everybody, Mr. Morel here, and today in this video we are going to talk about how to add and subtract matrices. So in the last assignment we learned about a matrix and we kind of covered the dimensions or the shape of a matrix, how to write that. We talked about different rows and columns and how to find elements and things like that. So what we're going to start doing is like starting to see what kind of math can happen with a matrix, and adding and subtracting, that's pretty straightforward. So that's where we're going to dive in. So a thing to know about adding and subtracting matrices is that, well, let's start with adding. Yeah, you can add matrices, but there's one huge rule that's listed right here. You can only add matrices if they have the exact same dimensions. If they don't have the same dimensions, you cannot add them. And remember, dimensions is a different fancy way to say shape. So two matrices have to be the exact same shape, and then you can add them. And the way that the answer will be is the answer is going to be the same shape as the other two. So let's just quickly talk about these shapes here. So this first matrix is a 3 by 2 matrix. It has 3 rows and 2 columns. This matrix over here is also a 3 by 2. So I know I can add them because they have the same dimensions. And we know that the answer is going to be the exact same dimensions as well. It's going to be a 3 by 2. Now, this is going to be pretty straightforward. I don't even think this video is going to be very long. Most of you are kind of figuring out exactly where I'm headed with this, but the idea is that there are going to be 3 rows and 2 columns. So I'm looking for 6 numbers to fill in this matrix here. And you guessed it. In order to fill out this first row, first column, all I'm going to do is take the first row, first column of this matrix plus first row, first column of this matrix, and that's going to be a -8, so that's going to go right here. Okay, to find this number, it's going to be this number plus this number, so 3 plus -3 is 0. Then we've got -5 plus 0 is -5. 2 plus 7 is 9. This is fun. 4 plus -1 is 3. And -9 plus -2 is -11. Hopefully I got that all right. And that would be the sum of these two matrices. Pretty straightforward. All right, our next example. Here we go. I'm supposed to add these two matrices. So the first thing I'm going to do is just triple check their dimensions. This one here is a 3 by 2. This one over here is a 3 by 1, which means you cannot add these matrices together. And so instead of actually writing in an answer, what we'll use is kind of, we talked about this in the last video, is we'll use the letters does not exist, or DNE. We'll keep those in all caps as we type them in our homework. That's how it's marked correct. So all caps there for DNE, and that'll be the right answer for that one. You cannot add these two together. All right. Subtracting, I mean, this is so straightforward. Obviously 3 by 2, 3 by 2 again, and my answer is going to be a 3 by 2. You guys have figured out already that I'm looking for, oops, I wrote 3 by 1, 3 by 2. You figured out that we are looking for 3 rows and 2 columns. You've also figured out that we're going to subtract. Now, the one hint that I want to give is, if you're like me, if you're a bad subtractor, which I am, I might recommend to not just subtract these two matrices. In my class, because I'm so bad at subtraction, we practice adding a negative. So here's how this would work here. So obviously, if you know that 1 minus -9 is 10, that's the correct answer. Wahoo. But just as you're going through these pretty quickly, your brain might put an 8 here or something. So let me just give you some tips. So for me, I'm so bad at subtracting, I like to add a negative. So for me, I like to change that to a plus, and I change the signs of all of the things inside of here. It just helps me subtract better if I say adding and then change the signs of all of the numbers on the inside. To me, that's just easier for my brain to say 1 plus 9 is 10. 3 plus 3 is 6. -5 plus 0 is -5. 2 plus -7 is -5 again. 4 plus 1 is 5. And -9 plus 2 is -7. So if you're cool with subtracting, hey, more power to you. I totally support that. For me, I'm kind of bad at subtracting, and so that makes it a little easier for me. All right, so just another example here. Same rule applies with subtracting. Oh, there's a train going by. Hopefully you can still hear me. You cannot subtract matrices if they're different dimensions, so I cannot take this 3 by 2 matrix and subtract a 3 by 1. If I ask you to do that, the answer is D, N, E. It does not exist, so don't even try. All right, pretty short video on this one. Hopefully there were some good tips in there. Be really careful doing your homework because you could just mess up on one number and it will mark the whole thing wrong. So make sure you're careful and write your dimensions correctly and all of that good stuff. All right, thank you guys for watching. Hope that helps. Have a good night. See you later. Bye.